Hello guys, I'm Herman. Today in this video, I'm going to answer some questions that many people ask me in the background. Like, what are the equipments you use in your workshop? How is your workshop organized? Can you please make a video on how your workshop looks like? Well, in this video today, I've decided to cover that particular topic. So, without any further delay, let's go in. Well, this part of my workshop is a closet. Since my workshop is in a room, in this part of the workshop it's my closet where I pack in some of the parts that I don't use often. So they are all there. Like you see, this is 3D filament PLA, and this is some tools that I use in the workshop very often. I just keep them there, dies and taps. So, and copper clads, so virgin copper boards, and these are some scrapped LED panels that I salvaged to keep around. When I have time, I'm going to make a project on them. So we are done with that part. Let's go down into the other side. This is where I keep most of those things that are big that I don't use. So I just put them down close to the closet so that nobody sees it whenever they come in. And up there is a place where I put most of some of the big things. You see there, we have guide rails, we have some packages like that of my oscilloscope. On this point, you have my 3D printers. So these are the printers that you've seen me working on several occasions, especially in my videos. So you see down there we have the smaller 3D printer which I've used for like 5 years. And to tell you the truth, these machines are all built by me in this same workshop. So I don't have money to buy big machines, so I just build mine and use them in the workshop, and they work well. I can guarantee you that. Well, this one here is my workbench. This is where I do most of my circuits, I do my programming, I do lots of my things. So on this place, I'm going to work you through all the tools that I use there. Underneath, you still have another 3D printer. So that's how my workbench is organized. So I'm just going to take you now through all the parts so you can see I have what I use, how I use them. First of all, I'm going to show you how my table is made. It's a wooden table, so I will not want to destroy it when I'm working. So I had to put a cotton mat to protect the table when I'm working. Okay, so this cotton mat right here is, I think, a 330 by 330 in size. I don't know, I'm not too sure. Well, it's a big cotton mat, so it covers the bigger space, the bigger portion where I work. So you see how it looks like. And coupled to that, when I'm soldering, since the cotton mat can be destroyed by the soldering iron, I bought the silicone mat, which I put my circuit board on and do the soldering without touching the cotton mat itself. So that's how I do those things. Very simple and nice. Okay, now let's go to the storage bin. This is the very first storage bin where I put everything. So there's no specific thing that I put there. I put almost everything. So you just see some kind of scraps, unfinished projects. Yeah, when I'm working on something and I'm tired, I just dump it in there. So that's it. On this side, you will see that there is that's a LiPo battery that I just have laying around, and this is a tool box. In this box, you find spanners, screwdrivers, and yeah. Okay, this is my oscilloscope. I've used this oscilloscope for more than 4 years now. So it's a very good oscilloscope. It's a 100 megahertz 2-channel oscilloscope that I use to to measure my signals, to visualize my waveforms, also do some measurements. So it's a very nice oscilloscope from the Siglent company. Very nice. So I've used it for 4 years now and I've never had any problem. It's digital, it's 100 megahertz, and it has 2 channels. So very nice. It's also it's a storage oscilloscope. That there is my I would say multimeter. It's a digital multimeter that I use to measure the voltage, the resistance of the resistors, and lots of components. This is my film extractor. It's a fan that I always put around when I'm soldering to blow away the solder, the fume generated by the solder, because very dangerous. That one right there is my helping hand. The helping hand that I use to hold circuits when I'm soldering, at times, or maybe holding cables to make things easy. On this point here, you find my soldering station. On my soldering station here, you see that I have a soldering iron, I have a hot air machine, I have solder mount on a solder mount. Good. Now let's go to my most used tools in the lab. So I have two power supplies, and they are all variable power supplies, 2 amperes on each. So they are just there to power my devices, especially my brain, my boards, when I'm working, when I'm still designing. And this is my hot glue gun to hold down some things on my projects. Well, this is another part of the project that I really fancy a lot. This is the part where I put most of my most used tools that I use often. Okay, I just have to put them there. Very nice, nicely organized in a way that if I'm working on something and I need a tool, I just send my hand, I pick it up and use it without having to search around the workshop. Okay, so let's go to where I put my components. These are storage bins where I put electronics components, very small components, very well organized in a way that I just pick them without searching a lot. So there are a couple of them in there. Okay, this is my calculator, so I used to do some maths, so I have to do some calculation without having to have my phone up, without having to manipulate my phone when I'm working. Just use that one there. Okay, this is where I store most of my breakout boards, especially when I buy them and they're still new. I just put them there, yeah, so that I don't damage them. I don't put them in a place where I can find them without seeing. And this is where I put my motors. Those are scrap motors from all copy machines and printers. In this box right here, I put all the parts that I use on my on my CNC machine. So you have drill, you have end mills, you have collet, you have all the things that I use for my CNC machine are stored in this organizer, in the storage box. Okay, so we have some books. So I'm not a fan of reading, but at times I have to read, you know, Electronics Principles, Hackers Proof, yeah. And right there are the chemicals that I use to etch my PCB, my prototype PCBs, and the other way is my PCB drilling machine. So I've used this machine for more than 4 years now, more than 5 years, even 6. You know, it's a very good machine, and I've used it and I really enjoy it. That one is my LiPo battery charger, so I use it to charge my batteries whenever I'm working, whenever I need them to be charged. On the other way, that is my I would say an unfinished project. It's a robotic arm that I was building for somebody, and who later on changed his mind about the project, so I just had to keep it. And that is another storage bin. In this one, I can store in big components, also with the smaller ones. So it's a 25 compartment box. Right here is another storage bin where I put in screws that I use to maybe on my projects, and old screws that are salvaged also from old devices. Below here is where I do my mixture. In this box where I do my mixture, so those videos. I'll see you next time on the next one. Goodbye.